the North Pole. Though I know it's all
She went to the Smoky Mountains to escape the spotlight, but what she found there wasn't just a cozy Christmas hideaway, it was a quiet breakdown, a second chance, and a new kind of family.
joy and cheer.
Behind the twinkling lights, singing kids, and fairy tale witch is a story about burnout, loneliness, and a woman who finally dares to choose her own life instead of playing the role everyone wrote for her. Once you see these layers, A Smoky Mountain Christmas will never feel like just a cute holiday TV movie again. And now, let's dive into 16 timeless truths about A Smoky Mountain Christmas, 1986. You never knew when you were a kid. Part 1. A burned-out star, running away from her own voice. Few people realize A Smoky Mountain Christmas, 1986, is first a story about a burned-out country star before it's a cozy Christmas fairy tale. Lorna Davis, the famous singer, goes to the cabin in the Smokies under the excuse of resting. But inside, it's a full-scale escape. Stage lights, cameras, cheering fans. Once her dream, now just a wall of noise that suffocates her. She holds her guitar like a shield instead of an instrument. Lorna never says it out loud, but every time she sees flashing lights, she remembers those soulless shoots in Los Angeles, where a smile had to switch on, exactly on cue, like a button. The first truth we never understood as kids: her trip into the mountains isn't a vacation at all. It's the first clear sign of a soul quietly collapsing from always having to be an angel for everyone but herself. Part 2. The Mountain Cabin, the first place she sleeps without performing. That first night in the cabin, Lorna is so exhausted that she falls asleep in a strange bed, still wearing her coat, body tense and guarded. She's used to someone knocking on the door, an assistant shaking her awake, a director yelling, "Again." Up here, no one calls her, no one forces her to smile. It's one of the rare times she gets to sleep without protecting her image. When the children appear and call her an angel, the woman who's been running from the spotlight feels irritated, yet warm. The second truth: Lorna isn't afraid of noise. She's afraid of silence, because only in silence can she hear the most frightening question inside herself. If I'm not on stage, who am I? The cabin in the mountains is both a shelter and a mirror, magnifying the loneliness she's been hiding under glitter and makeup. Part 3. The 7 children, a distorted mirror of a stolen childhood. The kids living secretly in the cabin are at first just cute details to a young audience. But to Lorna, they're a jolt to the heart. They've run away from an orphanage, they flinch around adults, and their eyes are always ready to bolt. She recognizes that look. It's the same look she gives to the media, to contracts, to the people who manage her. When Jake, the oldest, stays guarded and distant, Lorna sees herself signing yet another deal, always nodding but no longer believing. The third truth: her tenderness for the children isn't only because they're pitiful, it's because they're tiny versions of her. Kids who never got to choose their own lives, just pushed along by others, over and over again, in a cruel little callback. Part 4. The Habit of Running. Lorna's repeating pattern. Before going to the mountains, Lorna already ran from tapings, dodged interviews, and avoided her own team. In the cabin, she runs again. This time from reporter Harry, from fans, even from responsibility for the children once trouble starts. Whenever she's cornered, Lorna retreats, locks the door, clutches her guitar like armor, and shuts down. This is her pattern. When things get too hard, she disappears. The fourth truth: Christmas in the movie isn't just a warm backdrop, It's a test to see whether she'll break that pattern of running. Every time she turns away, every time she goes quiet, the same question returns louder. Will you stay for someone other than yourself? Part 5. Mountain Dan, the man who digs up a buried self. When Mountain Dan appears, he looks like he walked out of a storybook, mysterious, rugged, at home in the wild, unconcerned with the flashy world below. But to Lorna, he's a painful reminder of the girl she used to be, the one who sang for fun, not for ratings. He doesn't care about record sales or magazine covers. He just asks, "What do you really want?" The fifth truth: Lorna is drawn to Dan not because he's a romantic mountain man, but because his calm makes the emptiness in her own life impossible to ignore. Every time he shows up, her old tricks, hiding behind stage lights and scripted lines, stop working. He sees straight through that shell, forcing her to confront the trembling woman underneath. Part 6. Jezebel. Jealousy dressed up as a fairy tale witch. To kids, Jezebel is just the evil witch trying to hurt Lorna. But adults notice another layer. Jezebel is jealousy made flesh, the insecurity of watching someone else be loved. She looks at Lorna and doesn't see a burned-out woman. She only sees a rival stealing the attention of the man she wants. The sixth truth: Jezebel is an extreme version of the people around Lorna. People who see her as property, entertainment, or a threat, never as a human being who's tired. Whenever Jezebel uses magic, it's a dark callback to the stage lights. Both are tools for manipulating others, bending truth, turning people into characters in someone else's power game. Part 7. Reporter Harry and the fear of becoming a headline. As kids, we see Harry, the paparazzo trailing Lorna into the mountains, as annoying comic relief. As adults, he's the seventh truth. He embodies Lorna's deepest fear, being chopped up into headlines and tabloid blurbs. Every click of his camera slices a little more into the private life she's trying to protect. When he lurks outside the cabin, she's not only afraid of being found, she's terrified the children will be dragged into her world, where every genuine moment gets sold off for a few seconds of attention. Harry coming back again and again, despite being chased away, is a repeating callback. She can't hide forever. Stage lights may turn off, but the flashbulbs are always waiting in the trees. Part 8. A mother's instinct, awakening in the smallest gestures. There's no scene where Lorna stares into a mirror and declares, "I want to be a mother." Instead, the film gives us little details. The way she pulls a blanket over the youngest child, how she divides a meager meal, how she automatically steps between them and any strange adult. The eighth truth: motherhood in her doesn't explode all at once. It builds quietly through each protective act. And every time she puts her body in front of the kids, it's a crack in her old pattern, from someone who always runs to someone who's willing to stay and stand guard. These callbacks keep returning. Danger appears, and her body leans toward the children before her mind even catches up. Part 9. The jail cell, where she sees she's been imprisoned for years. When Lorna is arrested and thrown in a cell, kids see a tense challenge. How will she escape? Adults see something more bitter. Behind the bars, for the first time, she's still. There's nowhere left to hide. She realizes she's lived in an invisible prison for years. Packed schedules, binding contracts, an image she must never crack. The concrete walls are just a rough copy of the walls made from money and expectations she once accepted. The ninth truth: the jail isn't her lowest point. It's the turning point. She understands she'd rather be locked up once and fight her way out than live free while being controlled forever. The callback here is clear. Once again, she's alone, hugging herself like she used to hug her guitar. But this time, she doesn't want to run. She wants to fight her way out for the children's sake. Part 10. The Poisoned Apple Pie. The dark side of sweet promises. Jezebel disguises herself as a kind old lady and brings apple pie to Lorna's cell. A modern Snow White moment. For kids, it's just a fairy tale beat. For grown-ups, it's the 10th truth. In Lorna's life, apple pies have shown up many times. Big contracts, huge show offers, sugary praise. All of them came with strings. Give up another slice of freedom, another piece of herself. This time, she's learned. She doesn't bite into the easy promise, and the film lets Jezebel be the one swallowed by her own pie. The callback of her whole journey. The things that once weakened Lorna now turn into the weapon that destroys the person trying to control her. Part 11. The Rescue Plan. When Christmas is not magic, but a decision. After Lorna escapes, she teams up with Dan, Jake, and even Harry to get the kids out of the orphanage, disguised as Santa and elves. As children, we see a fun, festive sequence full of holiday mischief. The 11th truth. This is the first time she actively plans her own life instead of reading lines from a script someone else wrote. From a woman who always retreats, she becomes the one leading, taking risks, even accepting she might get caught. At every step, her old callbacks reappear. Fear of cameras, judgment, scandal. But this time, she keeps moving. She understands that if she continues running, the kids will stay trapped in the same pattern she once knew spiritually, abandoned and voiceless. Part 12. The Courtroom. Learning to say, I choose, instead of, I guess. In court, facing a judge who doesn't seem especially sympathetic, Lorna stands there not as a star, but as a woman, begging for the right to be a family to 7 children. The 12th truth. This isn't just a legal scene. It's the first time she clearly voices what she wants, without dodging. She doesn't say, I'll try, to please anyone. Her eyes say plainly that she wants to care for them. A callback from the beginning is resolved here. The confused gaze asking, if I don't sing, who am I? Is replaced with a living answer. She's a mother these kids need. Ironically, it's a system that seems cold and rigid, the court, that finally recognizes her free choice. Part 13. Music is no longer a shackle, but a thread tying hearts together. Throughout the film, Lorna picks up her guitar and then puts it down again, a repeating callback to her complicated bond with music. At first, each song drags her back to the old world, where songs are products, not confessions. But when she sings for the kids, for Dan, for the townsfolk, music slowly returns to its true nature, a way to say what's too hard to say otherwise. The 13th truth. Her healing isn't about quitting music, but about stealing it back from the industry's grip. When the children's voices join hers, the guitar stops being something she hides behind and becomes a bridge between wounded souls who used to think they had to suffer alone. Part 14. Christmas as a promise that no one has to be alone again. As kids, we see a warm Christmas movie full of trees, carols, and snow. As adults, we see the 14th truth. Christmas here is a promise against loneliness. Lorna goes to the cabin to be alone, but ends up with a new family. The children once believed it was safer to run and trust no one, but they choose to trust her arms. The film doesn't paint Christmas as magic falling from the sky. It shows it as the result of frightening but brave choices, daring to trust again. daring to stay. The old callback of running away is finally broken. Every character who once lived by avoidance, Lorna, the kids, even Dan and Harry in their own ways, decides to stand together on Christmas Eve. Part 15. Even angels are allowed to be tired and ask for something for themselves. From start to finish, people keep pinning roles on Lorna. Star, idol, angel, hero, fairy tale princess. The 15th truth, something we rarely see as children, is that she has the right to be tired, selfish, and to say no. The kids see her as an angel, but the movie never demands perfection from her. She snaps, she gets confused, she thinks about walking away. These imperfect moments are repeated as subtle callbacks, showing that her negative impulses to run, to give up, don't make her evil. They make her transformation honest. The quiet message for grown-up viewers, even the one everyone expects to save, others need someone to ask, and you, who saves you? Part 16. The final truth, a fairy tale for the burned-out if. As kids, we only saw A Smoky Mountain Christmas as the story of a pretty singer who saves 7 children, defeats a witch, and lives happily ever after. Then, as adults, we see the 16th truth. This is a fairy tale for anyone who has ever been exhausted enough to want to vanish. Lorna begins with a pattern of running, hugging her guitar like armor, afraid of lights, cameras, and of being turned into someone else's story. In the end, she's still a singer, still performing. But now, the story belongs to her, to the children she chooses, and to the man who lives outside everyone's expectations. The negative callbacks, running, silence, hiding behind the spotlight, are replaced by new, repeated actions. Stepping in front to protect, opening the cabin door, raising her voice in song. And that's the quiet Christmas gift at the heart of the film. It shows a woman the world thought existed only to please others, finally reclaiming the right to write the rest of her life in her own gentle, fierce way.